Just a few days away from Google I/O 2019, and we know a number of the products we're going to see there. We also know the price of a Pixel 3a, something about new Android TVs, new Wear OS functionalities, and we know that horses have 6 legs. Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. Our Easter version of this video included things like the Google Home Hub being rebranded to the Google Nest Hub, the introduction of a Pixel 3a, Google Assistant integration with G Suite, as well as a number of new languages, and the Anker Rove Bolt actually became a thing. Moving on to this week though, we have more details to share. Google I/O is May 7th to May 9th, and you can expect the following to show up there. The Google Nest Hub Max should be a 10-inch smart display with a Nest camera on board, stereo speakers, and a lot more capability than we have on the Google Home Hub, which will be rebranded to that Google Nest Hub as we spoke about. You should also hear about a new device codenamed Xeon, which appears to be a border router for Thread devices. This would be an important component for those of us who are not going to go out and get a Nest Hub Max, which should have its own Thread border router capability. There also appears to be a new device codenamed Castell, which I think is going to be an ultrasonic proximity detector. It's definitely a sensor type of device that pairs with that Xeon we talked about. We should also see a number of new Google Assistant Connect devices. So those are the little things we saw at CES that were basically, we saw an e-ink display, a push button that had really a cardboard outline, and we should see a number of more of those devices show up at Google I/O. All this, and we still don't know what's going to happen with Google Duplex. We don't know what's going to happen with the routines or the automation capabilities of our existing Google Home devices, but I fully expect changes there. Suddenly, Google is talking about a couple of different operating systems that they have that they really haven't been paying a lot of attention to as well. So Android TV looks to be getting a refresh, at least in the Play Store. On top of that, Google's going to be working with a lot of their partners and getting new applications developed and making sure those applications are up to date. Also, what they're saying is there should be new hardware in the coming weeks. So that sounds like, to me, it will show up at Google I/O as well. The other platform is Wear OS, which suddenly has a new tiles capability that Google will demo at I/O. They've already shown some basics here in some of their newest advertisements, but that tiles functionality looks specifically suited for your Google Home or your Google Assistant devices to be able to give you little tidbits of information on a smartwatch. The price of a Pixel 3a could be as low as $399 US. I think that would be very aggressive pricing. It's just a rumor at this point, but we're going to find out very soon. If that's the level and the XL is another $100 or $150 more, that's a very aggressively priced mid-range phone. Now, just so you know, there's also 3 colors coming out that we already know about for the Google Pixel 3a and 3a XL. Now, Disney Plus is a service coming out, and this is essentially where Netflix goes to die as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what can you watch on Netflix after this? But it will have Chromecast and Android TV capabilities, so we should see, and I hope to see, direct integration with those services and apps that are coupled with that, hopefully similar to the Netflix integration that we already have with our Google Home devices. Also, on your Chromecast devices, you're going to find the availability of Amazon Prime here, if you don't already, very shortly. Speaking of media services, if you don't already have a subscription to a music service like Spotify, Google Play Music, or any of those, and you go out and you buy a Google Home product, well, you're probably disappointed because suddenly you can't get music to play. Well, Google has changed that, and I think they've realized why a lot of people probably go and return their smart speakers, because what they've done is YouTube Music will work straight out of the box, and I've already experienced this with an LG product I set up. You don't need to have any subscription, and you can ask YouTube Music to play some music. Now, what I'll tell you about that is it's a lot like the other ad-supported versions of music services like Spotify, where you can usually ask for the first song or the first thing from an artist, and then it kind of branches out from there and becomes a station. Your Roomba will need a reconnect right now. We're after April 30th here, and so it needs to be reconnected. If you have one of those in your home and you're suddenly finding it's not working, you'll also find direct native integration for Ratio, Flow by Moen, Rainbird, and Leak Smart. All of those products will now have direct integration into your Google Home and your Google Assistant. There's a report out that says Google Assistant enabled devices could have physical buttons here for common queries that you make on a daily or a weekly basis, and they're thinking that these would be located on device. Now, I have a bit of a different take on that. When we think about the Google Assistant Connect devices that are being created, those little buttons would be very simple to have sitting around your home or sitting next to a device, and that wouldn't mean each device would have to be unique with 2, 3, 6, 10 different buttons for you to remember. So now, what's with this six-legged horse thing that I was talking about earlier? Well, if you were to ask earlier this week, and I don't know what it's going to do right now, but if you were to ask Google Assistant, hey, how many legs does a horse have? Then you would get the answer 6, actually. It's a very complicated answer. Now, what's actually happening here is that Google Assistant gets its search results from Google Search. And so when you ask a question and something has ranked on Google Search, that's the answer you're going to get. Now, incorrectly, they unearthed basically a poem that said that horses have 6 legs. And so this occurred this week and was all over the media. Let's try it. How many legs does a horse have?
A horse has 4 legs.
So clearly we've fixed this. This is something Google was obviously paying attention to. But yeah, earlier this week, it actually said they have 6 legs after a bit of a lengthy discussion about horses in general. I don't even remember it all, but it was quite amusing. So you will find things like this, and the UK government actually found things like this. And so in the last few months, they've been adding pieces of information, up to 12,000, into the Google Assistant and Amazon's voice assistant as well, to ensure accuracy for different requests that people make about the UK government. Things like, how do I get a passport in the UK? Like I said earlier, we're only a couple of days from Google I/O, and as a result, we've created a video that will tell you exactly what you will see from Google at Google I/O 2019. That is down below right now, and it goes into the details about everything I talked about in this video related to Google I/O. So until next time, guys, don't hate, automate. We'll see ya.